All right, greetings and salutations, everybody. I'm just getting started here. I'm going to wait a few minutes, see who connects, see if anybody joins in. Let me get some monitoring going on here. All right. Hey, folks, Andy White here, and I'm going to just do a little bit of a YouTube live session, see who comes up, see who comes in, see if anybody joins in. Just want to be real casual tonight and talk about, the issues of what's going on and see what you guys want to talk about. Have some fellowship, have some conversation. I'm going to post the link to Facebook for people to join on in. If you are joining in, please shoot me some comments. Let me know you're there. I don't know if I'm going to go 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe up to an hour. Depends how many people join in, how many, how much of a conversation we can get going. Definitely want it to be interactive. That's the whole point. Kind of see what's going on. Wonder if this posted here. Let me just check my Facebook here. Posting a link for Facebook. Well, notice it's YouTube Live, but I'm letting you folks know on Facebook to come on over and join me over here on YouTube Live. I'm gonna just check the link to see if it's working here. Yep. All you got to do is hit that link on Facebook, and you'll see where it says Live Now. And you can just tap on that. Hey, Marsha, how's it looking by you? All right, I'm going to just wait a few minutes, see who joins in. For those of you who are joining in on YouTube Live, let me know you're there. Let me know you're connecting. I'm not gonna really begin anything until I got some folks joining in. All right. We got Marsha, we got Miss Debbie. Hey. You guys let me know how it's looking. I'm kind of liking my setup here. All right. I'm just going to wait. We're just going to chat. Shoot me some questions. Shoot me some thoughts. I'll get it rolling in a minute or two. I'm just, like I said, I'm just firing it up. See who will join in. Praise God. Praise God. Yeah, Debbie, that video's looking nice and clear to me. Well, we'll work on that as time goes on. I'm not going to mess with it now. Actually, I could probably raise the seat up a bit. No, the seat's as high as it's going to go. The seat's as high as it's going to go. All right. The sound is skipping. Well, I hope not. Shouldn't be. I got a good connection. All right. Just going to wait another minute for folks to join in. Obviously, this is going to be a new experience, going to be a new endeavor. It's kind of like, in some ways, the maiden voyage. I know we've done some testing, but hopefully, what I'm planning on doing is doing a YouTube Live on Friday nights, eventually switching over to Blog Talk Radio is the game plan. But I figured I'll try this for a few weeks just to get into a mode of doing something. All right. I'm gonna glance at the comments as much as I can. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to sit on some pillows. But you don't really have to worry about, Debbie, honestly, you don't really have to worry about headspace and whatnot on these videos, because we're not going to process these videos, I don't think, anyway. That's kind of not in the plan. So they're not going to be produced like the FM videos are, the Faith FM videos are. All right. Well, I just want to again, I'm just going to wait a few more seconds to see who comes on. If we get we get anybody on there, some folks to get into a conversation with, some folks to shoot me some of their insights. I want to talk about what you guys are thinking about what's been going on in the media, particularly. What do you think about what those Democrats are doing? What do you think about what those media pundits are doing? What they're saying? I mean, the insanity just keeps on coming, folks. It just keeps. The left never fails to side with our enemies every time. It seems to me. But I want to get into a conversation. I want to know what you guys are thinking. Because I do all the talking usually on the Faith FM. But I need to tell you, I really want to hear from you guys, which means I got to pay attention to my comment stream here. We'll wait another couple of seconds. I'll tell you one thing, my friends. It seems like the Democrats are just hell bent on continually proving themselves to be the abject fools and morally bankrupt, blame America first crowd that we've always known them to be. They're just infuriating me. The things I'm hearing on a daily basis coming across the airwaves, it's just absolutely infuriating. What do you mean stop looking down so much? I got monitors all over the place. I got to look down, Marsh. That's where my comments are. If I got to have a conversation with you guys, I got to read the comments. Unless the next time I do this, I put the thing up here. But I'm just waiting to see who joins in. Got a couple of people in mind, but we'll see if they show up. This may only be a 15 or 20-minute excursion because if nobody comes, the whole point is I want to get into some conversations here. So we'll see what happens. It may be might be a bumpy road for starters. Because I just don't want to go through a whole bunch of notes with nobody there. I really want to have an interaction. Really want to have a conversation going. I got a couple of clips that I'm going to play, some video clips. You won't see the video, but the audio. I want to play some of these audio clips. You'll be able to hear them because I've got it right next to the microphone on the webcam. Debbie says I have a low tolerance for even hearing the hard left. Yeah, I know. My tolerance level is getting much lower too. We just got to really keep pushing back and pushing back and pushing back. They're not used to the pushback, unfortunately, and of course they've got the main airwaves. They've got ABC, NBC, CBS for the most part, CNN, and because they've got the main airwaves, it just gets out there to the masses of the people, and it's even though there is the alternative media, the conservative media on radio, and some of the newer conservative sites like the Daily Wire, the Blaze, and some of those outlets, Daily Caller. Daily Wire is really good. They're just really solid. But they're not on the airwaves. They're not on the FCC airwaves, so they're not getting the amount of people that these main legacy like ABC, CBS, NBC, the legacy networks can reach. Although those legacy networks are losing people because of their absolute bias and twisting of the narrative. I think a lot of people, I think mainstream America really is waking up to the insanity, but it's out there. I'm just going to keep reading the comment stream here. Debbie says, I have to agree with President Trump, in which he didn't want to tell the Dems regarding what he was doing with the recent attack because they would have leaked it to the fake news media. That's absolutely true. I mean, the way they are caricaturing him, the way they are smearing him. Uh, I have no qualms with the what's the word I want to look for? The classifications, the secrecy. You know, for national security, they need to be careful, and these Democrats will leak it. Oh, they get all upset. They get all upset, and they're getting all huffy. Oh, you would think we would do that? Yeah, you've been doing that. You've been leaking. You've been leaking like a screen door at a submarine. Yeah, the bumper sticker in the 80s. Don't trust the liberal media. Thing is, they've gotten even worse. It's not even a question of trusting the liberal media anymore. They have become absolutely off the cliff. As I said a moment ago, just hell bent on continuing to prove themselves to be morally bankrupt. The blame America first crowd. I mean, it's sheer idiocy that's been going on in news media. Some of these mentally challenged congressional Democrats, their response to taking out the Iranian General Soleimani has been sheer insanity. And the more I hear these Democrats in Congress open their mouths, the more infuriating it becomes because they're nothing but a bunch of lying, despicable, I hate to say it, but it's true, they're dirtbags. That's what they are. They ignore the facts. They rewrite history. They twist the truth. They give aid and comfort. Here's the thing. They're giving aid and comfort to the enemies of the United States, all because of their pathological hatred of Donald Trump. It's despicable. Not only despicable, it's dangerous. What these folks are doing is undermining the president, but not only are they undermining the president in a partisan sort of fashion, that's bad enough, but they are undermining our security. And as far as I'm concerned, these folks need to be run out of office as soon and as fast as possible. It's moral bankruptcy. Absolutely. Just going to keep reading some of the comments here. See if anybody else is joining in. Like I said, it depends who joins in, how long I go tonight. But this will be the kickoff maiden voyage of open up the doors, open wide. All the things we couldn't really get to on the Faith FM broadcast. But I'll tell you one thing, my friends. I said to somebody the other day in a post, they were posting something about the stunts that Nancy Pelosi is doing with holding back. I mean, the hypocrisy. When they were having the quote unquote hearings for the impeachment for Trump. Oh, we got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this so fast. We don't have time. When they wanted to subpoena John Bolton and a few others, and they wanted to take it to the court because there's a separation of powers. This is what a lot of folks don't seem to get, or they don't want to get, or they want to just willfully ignore it. There is a separation of powers, and the executive branch does not have to hand over and kowtow to the legislative branch. That's what the judicial branch is for. You've got a dispute, you take it to the judge, you take it to the Supreme Court, you let them hash it out. But no, the Democrats said they didn't want to do that. They didn't have time to do that. They had to rush this through. So, okay, they rushed it through. They didn't want to wait. And now they're waiting. They're in a rush, a real fast rush to go nowhere. It is pure hypocrisy. And it's like Nancy Pelosi thinks she's the president, or she thinks she's the executive, the head executive of the country. And quite frankly, I think somebody needs to throw a bucket of water on that wicked witch of the left and clip the wings of all her flying monkey Democrats. That's what I think personally. I want to read another comment here. Remember when President Obama would announce on TV strategic information to give the enemies clues as to what was going to happen so they could prepare ahead of time? Oh, but that was even, yeah, he did that at times. Other times, he also did his own stealthy, clandestine drone attacks, just like Trump did this past week with Soleimani. But that was President Obama, so that was perfectly okay. The hundreds of terrorists that he took out with drone attacks, that he didn't have to get clearance from the Congress from. Yeah, no, the double standard is off the charts. The double standard, the duplicity, the demagoguery, the hypocrisy. It's what it is, and they need to be called out. They just absolutely need to be called out on it time and time again, because the Democratic Party has become a ship of fools that needs to be blown out of the water. And I thank God. You know what? I thank God for folks like Mark Levin and Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck. If it wasn't for these guys who were like at the tip of the spear of conservative radio. Now there are others. You got Steve Deace. You've got Ben Shapiro. There's others out there, but the top four guys, thank God for them. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even know the things that we know, because they're the ones that are pushing back and giving us the right information and giving us true information regarding what's going on in these situations. But if you want to ask me a question more directly, you want to just keep shooting me some comments here, folks. I'll try to pay attention to those. But the Trump derangement syndrome that these people have, it's really more to a complete and utter insanity. And that's exactly what the media hates. They hate the fact that Trump at these rallies just speaks like a regular person. Yeah, the decorum went out the window. But you know what? When I was watching the presidential address on Wednesday morning, Trump is terrible with the teleprompter. He's absolutely terrible. He becomes very robotic. And now I know for that address on Wednesday morning to the nation, I guarantee you his advisors were like, Mr. President, please just read the teleprompter. Please just read the teleprompter. Don't go off the teleprompter. Because even at these rallies, he has a teleprompter, but he doesn't stick to it. And that's okay. They're rallies. But when I watched him Wednesday morning, everything he said was spot on. It was really good. But he was a little robotic. He's sitting there and he's reading the teleprompter. And there's such a difference between when he's just free and when he's reading the teleprompter. But I get it. I understand why he had to do that. I wish he could find a happy medium sometimes. He needs to be a little bit, when he's given this address to the nation in those official situations, he needs to have a little bit more of what he has at those rallies, because that's where he really connects with people. That's when you really see his, again, that connection. Now the left hates it because he's speaking like a regular guy, and they hate that. They hate that. And granted, listen, to be fair, again, because I've had problems with it myself in the past, there are times he says things, and we all know this, that he could just put his foot in his mouth. Sometimes he says things, many times he says things, you cringe. It's like, oh, why did you say that like that? Sometimes it's just funny. Other times it gets him in trouble. You wish you could sort of find some happy medium. All right. I'm just once again just scrolling through, seeing who else is joining us here on Facebook Live. There's only a couple of us here. It's not like I said Facebook Live. I meant YouTube Live. It's going to take a while to build up the audience here on Facebook. Oh, geez, I keep saying Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Sorry, I'm so used to just doing Facebook, but this is YouTube Live, and I'm going to enjoy this once we get into the flow of things. Did you hear? I was going to wait till some more people were on, but it looks like this might just be it for now. But did you hear what Chris Matthews said the other day. I'm going to play this clip. Yeah, and that's I'll get to that clip. I want to answer Debbie. There's a 200 character restriction on here, so you can't write a message that is longer than 200 characters. That's actually, for me, pretty good because I could see the whole comment. Instead of reading a really long comment, I could just glance at it and see it. With Facebook, if you have a long comment, it gets buried. Then you gotta click on the little ellipsis where it says more, and you lose them half the times. So that's what happens on Tuesday nights, Debbie, with the Bible study. Sometimes you'll say, "Can you finish reading my comment?" But we don't see them. And Denise is trying to open up the window to see the rest of the comment. She can't open the window. So don't think it's we're just trying to cut you off if you do a long comment sometimes on Tuesday nights, Debbie. We actually can't see them sometimes on Facebook. But I want to play this clip. Tell me how it sounds. Again, this is still kind of an experimentation mode, and but tell me how this sounds. I'm going to play this video clip. Obviously, you're not going to see the video. Now, what happened to it? I had it loaded before. Where did it go? There it is. Let me get this loaded up. I want you to hear what Chris Matthews said the other night, because this is absolutely crazy. Tell me if you can hear this. You should be able to hear it. It's right next to the mic.
Let me ask you about what we should have done. I go back to the congressman on this. When some people die, you don't know what the impact's going to be. When Princess Diana died, for example, there was a huge emotional outpouring. These kinds of Elvis Presley in our culture. It turns out that this general we killed was a beloved hero of the Iranian people, to the point where look at the people. We got pictures of.
Hold on.
These enormous.
I'm going to pause that. Can you guys hear that pretty good? Chris Matthews there? Can you hear it enough to understand what he's saying? Because he was just talking about how Sonny was a beloved hero to these people. Absolute nonsense. Yeah, he was beloved to the Ayatollahs, and he was beloved to maybe some of the Islamists, but honestly, that's not the entirety of Iran. It's just not. And the media was showing these state-sponsored funerals and these state-sponsored mourning of General Soleimani. When the Iranian Revolutionary Guard goes knocking on your door and drags you out and says, you got to go to the protest, and then they show that on media. Hey, Chris, that's not how it works. Those are fake. But then the media wouldn't show the people that were dancing in the streets celebrating the fact that Soleimani was killed. I mean, this kind of reporting is infuriating. But let me go back to this clip from Chris Matthews.
Enormous crowds coming out. There's no American emotion in this case, but there's a hell of a lot of emotion on the other side. Should our leaders know what they're doing when they kill somebody, Congressman?
Yeah, they very much could have anticipated that Iranians would react in this way, both the Iranian public, but also that the government would strike back. And this speaks to a much larger issue, Chris, which is the president has had a very chaotic and erratic foreign policy, and especially with respect to Iran. You think about what he did, he replaced the Iran deal, the Iran agreement, which was containing their nuclear program.
Okay, no, it wasn't. And that nuclear program was about to expire in another year anyway. This is the misinformation that the media keeps putting out. But for Chris Matthews to compare the taking out of a legitimate military target, remember, it was Barack Obama's administration when he was in office who declared General Soleimani as a terrorist. They declared the IRGC as a terrorist organization. But they declared him a terrorist. They declared him a legitimate military target, but they never went after him. So this guy, it was a legitimate takeout, number one. But for Chris Matthews to be saying that this guy was beloved, and then to compare the taking out of this terrorist military leader, a guy who killed over 600 Americans, who wounded and maimed thousands, because he was the head. He's the head guy that was creating and building and shipping these IEDs during the Iraqi war, giving them to the Iraqis. And then ISIS got hold of them once we beat the Iraqis. This guy is responsible for tens of thousands of American woundings, not to mention all of the maiming and the torture. Just another thing. Here's another thing. But that reminds me. Just a few weeks back, 1,500 Iranian protesters, 1,500 were killed by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps under Soleimani. 15. Why isn't our media talking about that? No, we got morons like Chris Matthews comparing this to the death of Princess Diana and Elvis Presley. It's sick. It's absolutely sick.
Replace that with what is now being called a maximum pressure campaign. Well, that foreign policy, if you can call it that, has failed. Although this administration considers Air Force bases or bases being bombed by the Iranians, it considers losing the respect and moral authority for the United States around the world as some kind of success for its maximum pressure campaign.
It's a lie.
But it's clear at this point that the president's strategy has failed.
Lie, lie, lie. You're a fool. You think it's failed? There are all over YouTube and all over Facebook. There are testimonies. There are written testimonies, and there are video testimonies of the Iranian people who have been celebrating and congratulating and applauding President Trump for taking out Soleimani. So again, we have got to push back on this complete abject nonsense. Then we have this other brilliant woman. What's her name? This one here, Jackie Speier, a Democrat from California. Okay, we know that the Iranians shot down a Ukrainian airliner Tuesday night during their missile attack on our American bases. The minute that plane went down Tuesday night, you just know, it was just common sense. You just knew that something nefarious happened. Now, I'm sure it probably was an accident because they're incompetent, and these guys on the ground, the media is trying to make them out like they're this great military machine that we're not going to be able to beat. That's not true. It probably was an accident, but they shot the plane down, and it seemed pretty obvious from the get-go. Having said that, listen to what, again, an American Democrat, the Blame America First crowd. Listen to what this Jackie, what's her name again? Jackie Speier from California. Listen to what she said. If it loads. No, I don't want the commercial. All right, hold on. I got to get rid of this commercial. I can't get rid of the commercial. You're going to have to wait for the commercial to go through. I wonder why that happened.
All right. Plus, it's a show open you can't miss. The 2020 Bounce Trumpet Award, hosted by Wanda Sykes. Premiere Sunday.
Sorry, folks. They usually give you an option to get rid of the commercial, but they're not here.
Like it was a mistake by the Iranians. Do you think they
assumed this
was some sort of U.S. military plane?
Well, I have been briefed on it, Wolf, and the Intelligence Committee, so I'm not really at liberty to say. But if what is being projected is true, this is yet another example of collateral damage from the actions that have been taken in a provocative way by the President of the United States.
Okay, did you hear what you just said? This is the Iranians shoot down a Ukrainian plane on Iranian soil outside of the airport in Tehran, and she's calling collateral damage from the actions of President Trump. These Democrats are pathetic. They're insane. They're crazy. They're morally bankrupt. They're moral delinquents. It's mind-boggling. It's absolutely mind-boggling. The Iranians shoot down a plane, and you blame Trump because he took out Soleimani, who the reason we took him out was because he just did an attack on the American embassy Christmas week. And before that, the Iranians shot missiles and killed an American contractor. Oh, but it's all Trump's fault. Let me touch upon this for a moment because President Trump does seem to have an MO here. And he does seem to have what they're calling a Trump doctrine. But the President Trump's MO, when you look at it, going back over time, now it's becoming clear. It seems like he kind of moves in the form of an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, kind of tit for tat kind of a thing. But the red line being American lives. Because remember when the oil fields in Saudi Arabia were hit, and it didn't seem like much was done in the aftermath. The Iranians took out the largest oil facility in Saudi Arabia, and outside of moaning and groaning, it didn't seem like much was done about that. Then a little bit after that, the Iranians took down an American drone. When they did that, I thought that's it. They took down an American drone, and now we're going to attack them. Remember this? But remember when Trump told our forces to go and attack Iran? When was that? That was several months back. But remember this, at the last minute, he pulled the plug, and everyone was scratching their head like, what? Why did Trump stop the attack? Why did Trump stop the attack? Something's becoming clear here. Trump stopped that attack because at the last minute, his advisors told him that there was probably going to be 150 Iranians thereabouts. That was the projection. That was the estimate, that 150 Iranians would be killed. And Trump said, no, that's not a proportional response to the downing of an unmanned drone. He didn't want to kill 150, quote unquote, for lack of a better term, innocent people, although I don't think military targets are necessarily innocent, but you get the point. He didn't want to kill 150 Iranians because they took down an unmanned drone. There was no response when they attacked the oil fields. But last month, after the Iranians fired missiles that killed an American contractor, and then the attack on the embassy, then there was a response. And then with the added intelligence of the fact that they were planning Soleimani. Here's what the intelligence was saying. Soleimani was planning a huge, almost 9/11 type of event that he had to get special permission from the Ayatollah Khamenei from before he could go on, before he could proceed with it. It was going to be such an outlandish and outrageous and huge attack that he actually had to get permission from the Ayatollah to implement the attack. So while he was waiting for that permission to implement the attacks, and that was after the attack on the American embassy in Baghdad, we got that intelligence, and that's when we took him out. That is as legitimate as you can get, my friends. And the Democrats are still whining and groaning and whining and complaining and making it look like this was some kind of Iranian, hero. It's absolutely sickening. Remember back in the days of 9/11 when the Democrats, when they were blaming Bush for not connecting the dots, back in the days when the CIA wasn't cooperating with the FBI and the FBI wasn't sharing information with the NSA, and the whole thing back then was like everybody had bits and pieces, but they weren't connecting the dots, and they were blaming President Trump back in 2001 for not preventing this devastation, for not preventing that 9/11 attack. Well, now Trump connected the dots and prevented a possible another 9/11, and now they're complaining that he did it, willy-nilly, and that it was preemptive and it was no good. Hypocrisy. Absolute and total hypocrisy. So, rewriting of history, like I said a moment ago, changing the facts, rewriting history. It's infuriating. Let me see. I see some people joining in over here. Hey, Gail. That's okay. That's okay. This is a new thing going on YouTube Live. Thanks, Gail. People really need to understand what's going on in Iran. Yeah, they do. And they're not. If they, I want to tell you something. If they're watching, if people are only watching CNN and only watching MSNBC and NBC and ABC, but particularly the cable networks where most people get their news these days, if they're only watching those news networks, they are living literally an alternative reality. And then when reality will explode in our faces, they won't know what's going on. This is the problem with a lot of the rank and file liberals in this country. They are absolutely convinced that they're getting the truth from CNN and MSNBC when they're getting nothing but absolute lies and a twisting of the narrative, a duplicity. It's an upside down world. It's an upside down world. They are just a propaganda machine. But worse than, but well, I don't know if you could say it's worse. I was going to say worse than a propaganda machine, but it's the same thing. It's just using different words. They are aiding and abetting America's enemies. And it's disgusting and it's despicable. It really, really is. It's a moral bankruptcy, as I said earlier. You know, it says in the book of Proverbs that evil men do not understand justice. And that's when I look at the Democrats, when I look at how they're speaking, how they're talking, how they're, again, defending our enemies and undermining our president, I see this proverb come into play. They don't understand justice. Evil men do not understand justice, but those who seek the Lord understand all. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Let me look at some of the comments here. Thanks for joining in on YouTube, folks, here. And I just wanted to have a casual conversation. I don't mean to rant on a soapbox all night, but just to keep a conversation going. Shoot me some questions. Gal, if you're still there, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask, Debbie, Marsha, these are the people I see on the stream here. Debbie Whitmer, what is the Trump doctrine? You know, tomorrow night on Life, Liberty, and Levin, I don't know if you get that on Fox News. He's actually going to be talking about that with, I just saw a thing come up in the stream before that Mark Levin's going to have, can't remember his name, one of the congressmen, he was an Iraqi vet. I can't remember his name right now. Solid guy. But anyway, he's going to have him on tomorrow night talking about the Trump doctrine. To put it simply, the Trump doctrine is he doesn't believe in nation building. He wants to get our forces out of there. The Democrats keep painting Trump as a mindless, fumbling, bumbling guy who doesn't know what he's doing. It's such a caricature. It's so untrue. I mean, listen, you could agree or disagree with Trump's policies, but the caricature and the smearing that the Democrats have done is outrageous. It's despicable. But getting back to the Trump doctrine, he doesn't believe in nation building. He does want to get our troops out of the Mideast. I think he's stuck in the reality that we really can't. You know, he kept saying when we pulled back from northern Syria up there in the Kurds, and I do think that was a mistake. That's another issue. You know, like any politician, I agree with some of the things Trump does, and I disagree with other things that he does. For the most part, I agree with a lot of what he's doing, and I agree with most of his policies. The thing with the Kurds was an unfortunate action, very unfortunate from my perspective. The way he seems to be, I don't want to say cozying up to Erdogan, but giving Erdogan too much space. I don't get that. That aside, that's kind of the anomaly. He does want to get us out of these wars. He's always been against these wars. He was against the Iraq war. He doesn't want to get us into a war with Iran. I do think he wants to get us out of the Mideast. But the sad reality is that we leave the Middle East and Iran and Turkey are going to take it over. That's the bottom line. Now you might say, what about the Russians? I can go into a completely different bunny trail with that. But let me stick to the Trump doctrine for the moment. I said it a moment ago. Look how Trump has responded when America was attacked by the Iranians and there was no loss of life. He put sanctions on them. He's not quick to pull the trigger, despite the rhetoric and the demagoguery from the Democrats. Trump has already proven that he's not quick to pull the trigger. But here's the thing. When you spill American blood, he pulls the trigger. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. That's an America first thing. That's a proportional thing. You know, I'll bring it up. What I said a moment ago, because I know some of us just joined in late. When he pulled back from that attack earlier this summer, when the attack was on, after they downed the drone, the minute he heard there was going to be 150 Iranians' lives lost, he said, no, that's not proportional for downing an unmanned drone. So again, this caricature that the left and the media have made of him, we've got to push back against that. We've got to tell people the truth, because Trump is reacting in ways that are completely different than the caricature and the lies and the smear tactics. Let me get back to looking at some of these comments so I could speak into them. That's true, Marsha. They thought that about Bush as well. They thought he was an idiot. But, you know, they hated Reagan and they hated Bush. But this Trump derangement syndrome goes beyond that. In fact, like I said, again, not to be redundant, but again, people are coming in late from before. They're coming in later, and I said, this Trump derangement syndrome is morphing into a complete insanity. When you blame the president for the downing of the Ukrainian airplane that Iran shot down, there's a few screws loose there. You either believe your own lies or you're just morally bankrupt. Adam, how are you? God bless you, brother. Hey, listen, input me some of your thoughts. I want to know what you guys are thinking about some of this. What information have you guys seen in the media that you would like to share with us? The new Democrat Party should change the name to the Antichrist Party. Well, that's for sure. That reminds me of something I wanted to share. That does remind me of something I wanted to share. Thanks for bringing that up, Adam, because, I got some friends, not a lot. I don't have a lot of friends. No, I have a few liberal friends who claim to be Christian. Maybe I should reword it. They profess to be Christian. Only God knows the state of someone's salvation in someone's heart ultimately. But when I see folks who profess Christianity, who profess to be followers of Jesus, and they are Democrats and they embrace the Democratic Party, I'll tell you, I don't understand that. I really don't. Progressivism, which is where the Democratic Party is now, the modern day Democrats. Let's talk about the modern day Democrats, not my grandparents' Democratic Party, not the Democratic Party of John F. Kennedy. They wouldn't even allow a guy like John F. Kennedy in the Democratic Party of today. But we got to talk about the Democratic Party of today. It is the hotbed for progressivism, and progressivism inherently and intrinsically is in competition with Christianity, and it's seeking to supplant it. Progressivism is the opposition of Christianity. So how can you claim to be a Christian while embracing that which is a direct opposition to Christianity? The Democratic Party of today has a platform that is built upon a culture of death, abortion. It's built on deception and doctrines of demons. I believe that today's Democratic Party, by way of analogy, they're like a political Babylon. A political Babylon that God's people need to flee from. If you call yourself a Christian and you're a Democrat, I want to say to you, flee Babylon. Get out of it. Come out of her. This is what the Lord says about his people being in Babylon. He says, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins. You've got a party here that's pro-death, as I said a moment ago, got the blood of 60 million babies on their hands. They've embraced gay marriage. They're embracing the insanity and the fantasy of transgenderism and gender fluidity. They embrace everything that God calls an abomination. How can you call yourself a Christian and be part of the Democratic Party? Now, you might say, well, I think for myself, I don't believe those things, but that is their platform, my friends. And God says, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Now, I know that scripture's referring to our spiritual walk with the Lord, but I want to make that analogy. The Democratic Party is a political Babylon. And if you're a Christian, you need to get out of there. You need to make an assessment of your Christianity. You need to make an assessment of what the Word of God says and what you're embracing. Now, you might say, well, like, for instance, there's this, the Democratic governor of Louisiana, conservative pro-life guy. Okay, you can vote for him in Louisiana, but don't ever, he's never going to be able to run for president because the Democratic Party would never allow him to run for president. That's right, Miss Debbie. The platform that the Dems run on is full of abomination. And it's beyond utter amazement to me that any self-professed Christian would in any way, shape, or form align themselves with the Democratic Party of today. They're a party that prides themselves in regarding their godless baby-killing infanticidal mania. They pride themselves in their demonic position of advocating and advancing the LGBT fascist takeover of societal norms. It's utterly amazing to me how any so-called Bible-believing Christian would even associate themselves with the Democratic Party on any level, or even defend their tactics and their motives and the duplicitous demagoguery of these godless, power-drunk statists. And that's what they are. They are completely a completely power-drunk statists. It's mind-numbing to me. And if that's offensive to some of you Democratic friends, well, I don't mean to offend you, but I do mean to shake you up and slap you. Wake up! Wake up! The Democratic Party today has become a mouthpiece of evil. A mouthpiece for evil. We have got to get the Democrats all across this country out of office. Now, I know that's probably next to impossible, but we have got to stop backing down and trying to play nice. Now, I don't mean we become mean. I don't mean to suggest that we become, just mean-spirited. I'm not saying that. but we fight the lies with truth. And we got to stop being intimidated by their tactics. We've got to stop being intimidated by their arrogance. They are arrogant. Oh, no question about it. They are arrogant. They think they're the smartest people in the room. They think they know better than you and I. They think that just simply that they're the smartest people in the room. So it can evoke a certain sense of intimidation in you. Don't be intimidated, my friends. Don't be. God has not given us a spirit of timidity, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And we need to stand up. We need to stand up for the truth of the gospel first and foremost. No question about that. But part of standing up for the gospel is speaking the truth in love in every sphere of society. I know we're in the last days, and I don't believe in a theocratic takeover of America. That's not going to happen. I don't even believe that. But we are the salt of the earth. And if the salt loses its saltiness, what good is it? We are the light of the world. But if we hide our light under a barrel, under a bushel, what good is it? I want to read some of these comments here on YouTube here. Democrat Christians should consider these verses. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Amen. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, cast out demons in your name, and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye workers of lawlessness. There's the key word to lawlessness. Look at the lawlessness of the Democratic Party. You know, again, the duplicity and the hypocrisy. They're always you know, what's the word I'm looking for? They're always can't think of the word I want to use. I don't want to say chanting. They're always proclaiming nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law when they talk about President Trump. Nobody's above the law. Nobody's above the law unless you're Hillary Clinton, unless you're John Brennan, unless you're Jim Comey, unless you're Peter Strzok, Strzok, however you pronounce his name. No one's above the law unless you're a progressive Democrat. Then you're under a whole different set of laws. You know, these people for years have been denigrating our founding fathers. These people for years have been saying how the Constitution is outmoded and outdated. And in the last month, I want to puke every time I hear Nancy Pelosi say, oh, the founding fathers, oh, we're standing up for the Constitution. You bunch of freaking liars. Sorry for my French there. The hypocrisy is off the charts. Absolutely off the charts. Well, I've just been bloviating here for a while. I want to see what you guys are saying, what you guys are feeling, what you guys are thinking. Any insights, Adam? What do you think? What are you seeing, Adam? What are you sensing, Adam? Iran continues to threaten U.S. and Israel. Can a Middle East war unlock the door to Turkey, confirming and strengthening a 7-year covenant with the many? Yeah, I think it's a possibility. I think that's, in fact, I was thinking about that kind of a possibility just the other day. I don't know if you listened to my broadcasts from, what's today, Friday? Yesterday. When was my broadcast? Yesterday, yes. I'm losing track of time here. Yesterday's Open Up the Doors broadcast, folks. If you haven't listened to it, please listen to it and please share it. I'd appreciate it so much. Yesterday's broadcast title is Iran, the Mahdi, and the Coming Chaos. And one of the things I did share in that broadcast yesterday was it's a good, yeah, we dodged a bullet, we dodged a missile this week, and World War III didn't break out. Thank God for that. I'm not hoping for nor wishing for World War III, but we know it's coming. So, you know, the Iranians are de-escalating. I think the things that President Trump did, quite honestly, I'm amazed. I'm shocked that we didn't just go in there and bomb Iran, bomb Iran. I'm surprised we didn't do that. Tuesday night, listen to me, folks. I was completely expecting Tuesday night for all hell to break loose. I figured that's it. They shot missiles at our bases. Trump's going in there, and he didn't. He didn't. He restrained himself. And it's amazing because he did the exact opposite. I'll say it again, that the Democrats have been telling us he would do. He's surprising. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. He's even surprised me on this issue. Some of you may or may not know, those of you who are close to me know, I wasn't a Trump supporter 4 years ago, 3 years ago. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I couldn't bring myself to vote for him in 2016. I voted for a Christian candidate in a third party. I was very, very concerned about a lot of things I saw in Donald Trump. I didn't believe that he would govern conservatively. I did not believe for a moment he would appoint conservative judges. I didn't believe for a moment that he would embrace the evangelical church once the election was over. I remember saying on one of my broadcasts, I don't trust him to have his finger on the nuclear button. I am glad that I was wrong about those things. I remember saying that I remember saying in those broadcasts that I hope I'm wrong about this. And if I am wrong, I'll admit it in 2 or 3 or 4 years. Well, we're 2 or 3, 4 years down the road. And I was wrong. He has surprised me. He has really, really surprised me. And if I got to eat crow, I don't care if I have to eat crow. We can only walk according to what we know at the time. We can only walk, each of us, according to our conscience. Most of my friends voted for Donald Trump, and I know why they voted for Donald Trump. They know why I didn't vote for Donald Trump, and we respected each other's opinions. But I always said, once he became president, once the campaign was over, I said, okay, he's president now. We got to pray for him. We've got to pray that God gives him wisdom. And I am going to give him the benefit of the doubt and support him as our president. See, it wasn't a personal thing with me. I didn't fall into Trump derangement syndrome. I didn't become a never Trumper. I said, we got to give him a chance. Let's see what he does now that he's president. And he has surprised me. He has governed conservatively. He has appointed conservative judges. He has continued to fulfill his promises to the evangelical community as regarding pro-life. It's the most pro-life president we've ever had. More pro-life than Ronald Reagan in actual doing of things. I had one of my Democrat liberal friends a few weeks back. I haven't heard from him since, actually, but we got into a big argument when I shared with him the very things I'm sharing with you tonight about how can you call yourself a Christian and be voting for this party that murders babies, that kills babies, that embraces gay marriage. And he blasted back with how the Republicans haven't done anything in Congress towards abortion either. And on that point, he was true. But Trump has given out executive orders that has, as best as he can from his position, defund Planned Parenthood. He has been pro-life. He was the first president to speak at March for Life in D.C. in January. So President Trump has surprised me. Again, does he do some things that make me cringe? Sure, that's his personality. But that's his personality. You can have a disagreement with his personality, but his policies, I'm agreeing with most of them. Again, except for the issue of the Kurds. That's something else altogether. Anyway, I said all that to say this. I forgot. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, that's because Adam asked a question about the Middle East war. Let me get back to that. Sorry, Adam. I went a little bit on a bunny trail there. It's kind of a big question, Adam. I did think along the same lines the other day. It's possible that we go into a limited war. Turkey's, like I said on my broadcast yesterday, Iran is going to continue to foment chaos. Again, if you listen to my broadcast yesterday, they believe the Mahdi is going to come out of a time of chaos and war, and they're fomenting that. So I think some things remain to be seen regarding that. I'm reading the comments here to see where we want to go here. I can't believe it's almost 9 o'clock already. I thought I was going to be on for 20 minutes, but I'm thankful you guys came on late. If I didn't have a big audience tonight, I was gonna keep it short. But I like the questions. I like the conversation. You know, yeah. The other night, I know some of you saw it. Somebody posted it. I think Debbie posted it. It was fascinating to me. Someone posted a interview that Donald Trump did in 1980. He was only 34 years old. Wow, it's amazing. I remember those days. But I watched this interview the other night that he did with this media person. It was really fascinating because there are things there that he has been consistent with in his thinking. Who posted that? Debbie, were you the one who posted that interview? I don't remember now. Yeah, it was very insightful. It really was. If I don't know if all you folks there on YouTube have Debbie Whitmer as your friend on Facebook. I don't know if you do or don't, but go on over to her page. She posted an interview with Donald Trump that's just very fascinating. It really is. It's worth the watch. It's worth the watch for a lot of reasons. I commented on it that night because living in New York, Donald Trump was always in the papers, especially back in the 80s when he was building Trump Towers and he had Trump Airlines, and it seemed like New York City was becoming Trump City, and he built all these skyscrapers. He was always in the papers back in the 80s, and a lot of that being in the papers wasn't good. I mean, it was talking about his divorces. It was talking about escapades with different people. And hold on a second. My laptop was going into sleep mode, and I think that was affecting the stream. I got to wake my laptop up here. I got my webcam plugged into my laptop for the streaming here. So I got to make sure the laptop doesn't go into sleep mode. Where was I? So anyway, yeah, back in those days, Trump was always in the papers. And I brought it up to say this. It wasn't how I was throwing stones or throwing rocks. It was making me think about those days. You know what? We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And I'm not going to make excuses for my sin or anybody's sin. I'm only going to simply say I understand that as a good-looking young man, Donald Trump was, in his 30s, billions of dollars. Well, come on. Yeah, not knowing the Lord, he's going to fall into all those things that the world has to offer, and he did. Not excusing them. I'm simply saying I understand the human condition because I am one. But to see that God can redeem somebody for a purpose in their future. Moses killed that Egyptian. There was something in Moses that he knew God had something for him to do, but he didn't do it right. And God had to take Moses out into the backside of the wilderness for 40 years to get that stuff out of Moses, to break him, to humble him, before he could send him back to Pharaoh 40 years later. But he was a murderer. He was an insurrectionist. God is a redeemer. We all need to be redeemed. We all need to be saved by the blood of Jesus. So when I hear some of my evangelical brethren who still refuse to give Donald Trump the time of day because of his past. Yes, he had an ugly past. So did I. Yes, he had a sinful past. So did I. But why do you keep holding his past in front of him? If he truly has had a change of heart, if he truly has given his life to the Lord, and you don't know if he has or hasn't. I'll leave it there. I'll read some of these comments. Hey, Brother David, thanks for joining in. I'm going to sign off really in another minute. I've been on for over an hour now. Just having a casual conversation and sharing some ideas and some thoughts. And I don't want to belabor it, but I do think I'm going to be doing this pretty regularly on Friday nights, folks. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I came on at 8 o'clock tonight. I'm going to see what works better time-wise as far as people coming on. But I'm definitely going to branch out off of the simply what I've been doing on Faith FM. Going to be coming here on YouTube Live and doing some more of these interactive chats. So I'll give it another minute, but then I'll get off. Let me just see what some of these comments are here. Brother David said the left has every reason to give America's enemies in the Middle East information on our troops for ambush to ruin his reelection. Yeah, they're just scoundrels, man. I agree with you, David. They got all hot and bothered and offended because Trump said that he didn't say anything to the Congress people because they were going to leak it out. Well, they've been leaking all kinds of things out. Of course, that's true. Debbie says that she put the link up for the interview for Trump, although I don't see it in my stream. But Debbie said she put the link up. All right. Well, listen, anybody want to say anything or share anything right now? I think I want to sign off because I don't want to belabor stuff, and I've been on for an hour now. I'll give everybody one last shot to comment or ask a question. And I hope you'll consider joining with me again Thursdays at 3 o'clock if you're able to. I know it's the middle of a work day for Open Up the Doors on Faith FM. But I will be coming back, Lord willing, I will be coming back on Friday nights for these kind of Open Up the Doors. I'm calling this wide open. This is Open Up the Doors, wide open session to just discuss the issues of the day. Gail asked the question. She did. Where is it? Jeremiah, oh, there it is. Okay, Jeremiah 49, the prophecy of Elam. Do you think it's related to nuclear war? It might be, but I don't think it's something that I think that I know people have been pointing to those verses in Jeremiah 49 as though that's something that's going to happen right now if we have a confrontation with Iran. Here's the thing. You've got to understand something. See, I don't think Jeremiah 49 is, in my opinion, something that's going to happen soon. I think that you need to tie that in really with the Magog war. Elam is part of Persia, as you know. We understand and we do know that Persia is part of the Magog Confederacy of Ezekiel 38 and 39. So Persia is not going to be destroyed or wiped out until it's wiped out on the mountains of Israel. I happen to believe that Ezekiel 38, 39 is actually the same war as Armageddon. It's taken me a while to get there. I've kind of been back and forth on that through the years. But after really studying it through and looking at biblical consistency, when you look at the wording of Ezekiel 38, 39, and you look at the wording in Revelation, it's very similar wording. So I've come to the place where I believe the war of Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Magog war, I hold that to be Armageddon. I can't get into all the reasons right now, but I just touched on it. So if we go to war with Persia right now. Okay, I'm going to give you my opinion here. I believe judgment's coming to America. I don't know when, but I believe judgment's coming to America. Most of you have heard me say that many times. This past couple of weeks, Russia and China have been very, very quiet. Unusually quiet. They were very quiet when our embassy was attacked. They said a few things at the UN, but not much. They said hardly nothing when we took out Soleimani. Very unusual. Russia, China, and Iran just got over having a joint military Navy exercise just last week. Throughout the years, and I've shared this many times, people like Dmitry Duneman, Henry Gruber, David Wilkerson, those are the three main ones. There may have been others. But through the years, they've talked about visions that they saw Russia and China attacking and destroying America. They never put dates. They've never put dates on those prophecies. I believe personally we're very near those days. I believe America will be judged and will be destroyed. Again, I'm not saying tonight or tomorrow. I don't know when. I believe America is going to be destroyed because, number one, we need to be removed so that the kingdom of the beast can rise up. We know from Bible prophecy that the kingdom of the beast is the last days superpower. As scripture says in Revelation, who is able to make war against the beast? Well, obviously, if America's around, we are. Right now, we've got the greatest, most mightiest military in the world. So we think we're safe. We think we're okay. But my friends, don't trust in horses and don't trust in chariots. God can take out our army like this. Trust me on that. Do not put your faith and trust in the arm of men, in the strength of the flesh. I think that if we get engaged in some kind of major military confrontation with Iran, you open the door for China and Russia to attack us. I know that's not popular. I know many people might resist that, but it's what I think. It's my opinion. I've been telling people for years now, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. So it's a long way around to answering Gail's question about Elam in Jeremiah 49. There's a lot of different scenarios that could happen. But my gut reaction, to sum it up, is to put that destruction of Elam in with the final destruction of Magog in Ezekiel 38 and 39. That's how I see it at the moment. But as you know, when it comes to eschatology, viewpoints are subject to change as God gives us more insight and we see things unfolding before us. So I don't hold any of these things with a doctrinaire, certainty, so to speak. Those are how I see things in a very general sort of way. Amen. So I'll say this as I begin to sign off. If you haven't seen the video from yesterday's broadcast, I humbly ask that you watch it, and I humbly ask that you share it. Please share that video. It's called Iran, the Mahdi, and the Coming Chaos. I shared a lot of important information in that broadcast yesterday, and I really am praying that it really gets out there. So if you guys could help me out and get that out there, I would be so appreciative. I'm going to sign off, folks. Thank you, and God bless. And I'll see you on Facebook. I'll see you on Open Up the Doors. Here, there, or in the air. Praise God. I'm going to sign off. God bless. Good night, everybody. I'll answer some of these comments and questions when I sign off, if they're still there. One thing about Facebook Live is, you know what? The live chat doesn't translate over to the comments section. So I actually won't be able to see these. That's kind of a bummer. The differences between Facebook Live and YouTube Live. When I'm done with my broadcast on Thursdays, I can go back and look at all the streaming comments. I can't do that with YouTube. Oh, well. All right. I'm just going to read them real quick. God bless. God bless. Thanks, folks. God bless you. I'm going to sign off.